Tonight's lecture is part of RMCAD's VASD program. This program is an interdisciplinary initiative fostering vision, creativity, and innovation by bringing leading artists, scholars, and designers to campus. It is my pleasure to introduce the program's 23rd lecturer and tonight's distinguished guest, who will be presenting the fourth and final installment of the VASD program's lecture series, Interventions. As we've explored in the previous 3 lectures, this series investigates the various ways interventions function in art and design discourse today, offering moments for reflection and opportunities for change. And we continue the series with tonight's lecture, What Has Been Seen Cannot Be Unseen, with the lovely cat here, you can see them, by Franco Mattes, one half of the artist duo Eva and Franco Mattes. Originally from Italy, but based in Brooklyn, New York, Eva and Franco Mattes work collaboratively, creating art in a combination of mediums of performance, video, and the internet. The artists' work are exhibited nationally and internationally, including Site Santa Fe, the Sundance Film Festival, MoMA PS1, and the 2001 Venice Biennale, among many others. Eva and Franco Mattes are also the founders and co-directors of the experimental art festival, The Influencers, in Barcelona, Spain. Tonight, Franco Mattes' lecture will present 4 of Eva and Franco's works, 3 which are completed projects and 1 which is in process. The Mattes' artwork often present falsities and misinformation. They deliberately misrepresent and obfuscate. And then they often require unwitting viewers' reactions to complete the artworks. So tonight, we will wade in the murky and untethered space between reality and fiction, specifically as experienced in our pervasive use of the internet, engaging our daily habits as well as current art, political, and social debate. Tonight's lecture will provide an opportunity to address and perhaps disrupt notions of authenticity. And now please join me in welcoming Franco Mattes.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. My name is Franco. Where do we start from? Interventions. So this series is called Intervention. So before coming here, I thought maybe I should look that up and see what interventions mean. So let's see. Intervention. The action or process of intervening, as in they are plants that grow naturally without human intervention. The other meaning is interference by a country in another's affairs. The administration was reported to be considering military intervention. The third meaning is action taken to improve a situation, especially medical disorder. 2 patients were referred for surgical intervention. That's not our case here. And the fourth meaning is a meeting in which people confront an addicted or otherwise troubled individual in order to persuade the individual to seek help. We got it. So this is clearly the case here, where I am the troubled individual and you are the people that are confronting me. So I'm gonna talk about my troubles for about an hour, and at the end you're gonna tell me what is my problem and how can I fix it? How can I find help? I'm gonna talk about a few works. We're gonna have, I guess, like a few Q&A, questions and answers at the end, but if you have questions, just while I speak, comments, complaints, whatever, suggestions, improvements, just tell them, like, feel free to interrupt me, really, that's not a problem. I love that. It actually means it helps me, because it doesn't feel like I'm talking to myself. So feel free to ask questions when you feel it. Just maybe raise your hand, so. Interventions. We try to involve the audience in our work. That to me is a very important part of the work. Involving the audience, you could say that anything involves the audience. If you hang a painting to the wall, people look at it, that's also involving an audience. So there's nothing special about that. What we try to achieve is a little bit of a deeper involvement. In order to do that, we try to do it in the so-called art world, doing exhibition and so on, and we were not happy with the results. I think it was a failure. It was a failure for me because no matter how crazy thing you do inside an art frame, so inside an art space or an art event, people will keep doing what they've done for centuries, like drinking wine and listening to you and politely agree with what you do. You could eat a pig alive while you blow up a doll and kill a cat in a pool full of blood while a woman give birth to a child, and still people will be sipping wine and just clapping at the end. And we were not satisfied, like, oh wow. And that doesn't mean that they like what you're doing. They may still think that you are nuts, but they're not gonna say it. They're not gonna confront you. They're not gonna just complain or anything. So in order to involve the audience in a little bit of a deeper way, we decided to try to get involved in the work some audience was unaware of being part of a work of art. So an audience that did not pay a ticket to be there and be scandalized, but just a normal, random people that's out there. To involve an unaware audience, we came out with a strategy that involves fake and impersonation. Not because we are mean, or not just because of that, but because there was basically the only one strategy that came into our mind. Like, how do we involve someone that does not know how to get it, like a spontaneous reaction out of a person? And we thought, well, we should just get it when he's not ready, when he's not prepared for that, when he's just going down the street and you like surprise him or her with something that they can immediately recognize as art. Maybe later they can, after the next day, but not in that very moment. And this also, the thing of like staging and impersonating other people solved another problem we had, that Eva and I were actually not very creative in general. There is artists who are super creative and geniuses and explosive, and they come up with geniuses idea every day. I know people like that. They wake up in the morning, they keep drawing and doing stuff and recording music. We're just not like that. We get out, we come up with, I think, a good idea every like 1.5 years. But still, we can't just be there waiting for that good idea to show up. We have to do something for all that free time. So we thought that impersonating other people would kind of be an easy way out of it, because you don't have to be creative yourself. You just have to like camouflage a little bit, like a what's the name of the animal? The chameleon. So you're just like hiding beside another guy, and you just make your own, your personality disappears and fades away. You just have to apply to become this other person. Anyway, let's show one work that started with these kind of ideas in mind. It's called No Fun, like the Stooges song. And in this case, the work is not only, the reaction of the audience is not only important, relevant, but it's crucial. It's like the work is made of the reaction of the audience. If there were no audience, there would be no work. So I was hanging myself in our studio in Brooklyn, in our apartment actually. Studio in the sense that in New York, studio is like a small apartment, not like a big artist studio. As if I committed suicide. I was pretending I committed suicide, hanging myself. And Eva was recording it with a webcam. We were streaming this image live on the internet on a public website that's designed to pair random people to having online conversations or sex relations or whatever they want to do. So random people would see this scene, would see this guy that's hanging, and they would not know what to make of it. They are not people I invited there. They're not my friends. There was no announcements, nowhere. It's just random people like me and you that happens to be on this website, chatting, laughing, or screaming, or yelling, or complaining, whatever. And then suddenly you see this scene. we were recording all the reactions of the people, and then we edited them together.
Yeah? Look, I just saw something on the TV screen. Oh, yeah, kind of, right there. Down. Look at the TV screen. Look at it, he's fucking just hanging there. It looks like he hung himself, but he didn't. No, it really does. Really? Wait, what the fuck?
You're a witness now.
Doesn't it look like he hung himself, but he didn't? He's moving. He is moving.
That's how the guy played Bill when Kill Bill died on, you know. That was ridiculous.
Come on, chat, look up.
Yeah. No.
Hey, so you can see us, so
He hung himself while drinking it.
he's like looking at him.
Yeah. And they found him in a hanging.
You play a terrible dead guy.
Unless he's like, these are the last final moments. And
Remember this! Yeah!
Okay, so the video goes on and on. You can watch it online, actually. So before we started doing the performance, of course, like both I and Eva were like, I already felt sorry even before starting, like this is so wrong, this is so wrong, this is so wrong. But on the other hand, we want to do it. And then I have to admit that once it started, I got a little bit, it was a little bit like as a relief, all the kind of reaction we were getting, because I realized that most of people, yeah, someone was worried, but not that many, and a lot of them were more like, who cares, or even laughing or clapping or even masturbating, one guy. So basically, the reaction was pretty shocking for me. I took for granted I would be, you know, the radical artist that's shocking the audience. And then some of the reactions were actually shocking me. I was like, whoa, this world is sick. But with this, I don't wanna judge anybody, of course, because if I had been on the other side of the beat, I would have done exactly the same thing. So I'm not at all taking myself out of this scene. One guy called the police after a few thousand, so I don't know whether or not that's a good thing. But of course, he could not really do anything. I mean, you couldn't hear his conversation, and it's like, I'm in front of this scene, and you cannot hear the cops, but you can imagine their questions, like, so where is it happening? And he's like, oh, I don't know. And yeah, it's on the internet. And then silence, and then, well, no, I don't know if it's real. So, well, I don't even know where it is. So basically, you know, the guy's like, why are you calling me? Like, you say there's a dead guy, you don't know if he's dead, where he is, what can I do? And which is kind of funny and tragic at the same time, because had this been real, even the guy wanted to help, like, well, who knows where this thing is? Could be my neighbor, could be in Australia, so there's nothing I can do. We did not do the performance. I mean, in this case, it's evident that I'm just like there, but it's the audience that's doing the performance. That's what you're watching, of course. So that is also part that I kind of like it's the audience that's the real subject of the work. And I see this as a little bit of a kind of a work around the whole social media phenomenon. So you have this crazy like river like ocean flood of information that's coming at us, images, sounds, text, music, videos, and we're just bombarded with this stuff, and we keep typing and typing and typing and chatting and streaming, and so we thought, what's gonna happen if there's a way that we can stop that kind of flux, that crazy river? Can we stop it for like just a few seconds, for just a few people, but to make like a moment of like, whoa, wait a second, like a moment of reality? And we thought that that guy could give that kind of like a snap, because well, if nothing else, you cannot talk to him, so there's no communication possible. Yep.
Sorry to interrupt, but out of curiosity, how the heck did you manage to hang yourself without actually hanging yourself?
You mean technically?
Yeah, how did you pull that off?
Oh, it's very easy. It's just a full protection harness you put on, and the rope. It's pretty easy. It's painful, actually. I don't want to complain, but when we were doing this, it was actually full of bruises and stuff, and it was the same week where Marina Abramovic started her performance at the MoMA, when she was sitting on a chair for 8 hours a day for like a month and a half, like a crazy endurance performance. And we met one of the first nights. She got out of my home, she was like, "Oh, Franco, I'm like old, this sucks. I'm like, this is so painful. Next time I'm gonna go like you guys, I'm gonna go digital." I'm like, you know what? Don't think it's that easy. I'm not in front of the mouse the whole day. Look here, I'm like full of bruises and shit. Doing digital doesn't mean you're just, anyway. So when we exhibit the work, we try to create a little bit of that situation, like that room situation. So this is like an example of how we show it. So it's not projecting a big scale like we do here. It's like a little tiny screen in whatever big space on a kind of a cheap, silly computer table with an old, better chair. You gotta put the headphones on. There's like only one guy can see it, because we don't want to create that kind of cinema situation, but put you a little bit more in an intimate space. So in this case, we also put up this kind of ugly wallpaper, so to make it more claustrophobic. Any other question about No Fun? Okay. When a new medium is born, I think that there's a little time frame where it's an amazing moment to work with it. And that, I think, is because when a new medium is born, it seems to us more real than the previous one. And this, I think, happened all the time. So if you think to like when photography was invented, the feeling people had is like, whoa, finally we have a medium that that's like direct documentation of reality. You cannot lie. You could lie in a written statement, but you cannot lie in front of a camera. We now are a little bit more savvy, and we know that that's not the case. Like, you can totally lie with photography. It's of course, I mean, it's very easy. But back then, 18th century, people took, well, if it's a photograph, it's documentation of reality. Finally, we have that medium. And the same thing, I'm sure, happened before when people went from the spoken word to the written word. They were like, of course, the written word is a weight that spoken word did not have. You cannot lie on a written statement, while you could lie on a chat. Of course, we know now that it's not true. The internet now, I feel like, is a little bit like that. We see it in comparison to TV, at least my generation, and we know that as much as we can't believe not even 1 second what we see in TV, for some reason we think that what we see on the internet is true, or may be true, could be true. So if we see one kid that's like yelling at the webcam and screaming and crying, we take for granted that he's just a victim of this video game craziness, and he's not just maybe acting like people does on TV. While I think that most of the time is actually what's going on. These kids are like pranking us old guys. And we, in our work, we exploit a little bit that kind of I'm not saying gullibility, but that deep trusted this rooted trust that we have on this new medium. But it's not going to last forever. When the new medium is going to come out after the internet, we're going to start seeing back to this, I think, this period like, oh, how gullible were we? How could we think that anything that goes on the internet could be true? Of course, everything is like constructed, a simulation. When we did No Fun, after we did it, we did the video, we exhibited it, and we immediately regretted it. Like, we were watching it, Eva and I, we were like, wow, what a mistake we did. What a mistake. It would have been so much better if there was the right part of the video. Like, just imagine it. If you would see what was on the left, so all the reactions, and you would not see what they're looking at. You would be like, what are these guys looking? Why are they laughing and screaming or being horrified? But it was too late by then because we had already published the video. So we were like, missed opportunity. So after like 2 years, we thought, wait a second, maybe we should just make another work that's exactly like that, where you don't see the actual subject of the work, you only see the reactions of it. So we put a call online. It was just an anonymous call saying that there is this video that's called Emily's video, and it's a horrible video. It's the worst video ever. It's extremely graphical, extremely violent, like perverted, sick, like no one is supposed to see it. It's really extremely. You just kept repeating extremely. But if you still want to see it, here's a phone number. You should call this girl. Her name is Emily, and she's going to come to your house and show you this Emily's video. But you have to accept that in order to see it, you must be filmed. You must accept the fact that you're going to film your reaction. People start calling in. So Emily would come to your apartment with a laptop and showing you Emily's video. She would leave the room, turn it on, leave the room, and you would be filmed while she's filming. Well, sorry, where you're watching the video. So this is the result. I'm just going to show you like a couple of minutes.
Okay, I'm about to watch Emily's video. I'm about to watch Emily's video. I'm about to watch Emily's video.
Alright, so I am about to watch Emily's video. Here we go.
Alright. You ready?
Oh, you know what it reminds me of? This Dali film. You know? Yeah. The razor blade in the eye. Yeah. And Shen and Dalu. Sure.
Oh. Oh.
Oh!
I can't watch it anymore.
So I want to show you the whole thing. I just keep straight to a completely different moment towards the end where it becomes a little bit more depressing, less fun. So after we did this, we destroyed that video. It only exists in one copy in that laptop that Emily brought in different apartments. It never was online. That's why we had Emily physically going in all the apartments. And so the video does not exist anymore. So I will never say what was in there. And the only relation you have with it is like through these experiences. So you're basically you're left wondering what was the work, what was the thing about. And everyone has, of course, his own ideas, theories, and phobias around it. There is this theory by Italian semiologist Umberto Eco that defined the open work of art as a work where the interpretation is fundamental for the work to exist. So the example he makes is if you see a painting of a woman that's crying and she's carrying a baby, you get it. You get the reason why she's crying, and that's like a classical way of representation. If you say the same painting, but the baby is not there, it's cropped out, you just see a woman that's crying, that, according to Umberto Eco, is an open work of art, because interpretation is necessary for you to understand. Basically, you're left like, why is the woman crying? And you have to come up with some interpretation. Everyone has his own. There's no one that's right and one that's wrong. It's just open in the sense that it needs your interaction with that work in order for it to exist. So it's basically the invisibility that generates your need for interpretation. And that's what I like about art, is that art is always missing a lot of stuff that you have to interpret yourself. Unlike, for example, Hollywood entertainment, where you're sitting down and the whole story, the whole narration is already plotted out for you. All facts, all reasons, consequences, everything is just there. So you're entertained. You like it, you may like it or not, but it doesn't require much work from you. Art is usually less than entertainment. I don't think it's more, it's way less, because it lacks so much stuff like that you have to figure out what it is about. That's why it's also maybe more difficult or more, but I also find it more engaging because it requires that interaction from me. In many of our works, we use the reactions of the audience. As I said in the beginning, it's very important for me that the works solicit some kind of reactions. It can be done through many different ways. This is one way. In this case, we kind of ask them to do that. But what's in common with all of them is that the audience becomes the raw material. It's, again, not just important that there's a reaction to the work, but the work is made of the reactions of the audience. Without audience, there's no work. I can't just be doing this on my own in my studio like a painter. I need people to see it and to see if it works or if it's a complete failure. When we exhibit Emily's video, this is how we do. We put it on a monitor that's like 90 degrees tilted. And so this is, for example, a gallery. So this is the wall of the gallery, and the monitor would be just lying on the ground, like exceeding the wall a little bit. So the reason for this is that if you're walking by and there's someone is watching the video in the room, the first thing you would see is the back of the monitor and someone watching. So I think that's funny because they're watching people watching, but you don't know it yet. And once you go on the front, you see that you're actually watching people watching, and the video itself, it fills up like about a third of the monitor. So all of this is all black. It's kind of wasted. But the funny thing is that you see yourself reflected because it becomes like a mirror. And so again, it's like you watch yourself watching people watching. And I like this kind of Matryoshka loop thing. We love shooting with webcams. Like both No Fun and this is done with webcam. It's super cheap. And we love that because, first of all, it's very subtle. It's really hard to get spontaneous reaction from people if you are there with a troupe, with a camera. I mean, unless you're a really good actor, and these people, they're not professional actors, of course. The moment you get all this lighting and people and dollies and microphones, it's really hard to act normally. You would not. You'd just be there like stuck and embarrassed. While webcams are kind of little tiny, they're designed for you to film yourself. So you kind of forget very easily that you're being filmed and you act accordingly. You just be yourself, more or less, which is kind of tricky. I mean, I like it, but I see that they're all very subtle exactly because of this. Another thing we like about webcams is that you get access to people's houses, people's apartment. So you just see someone in his own environment, and sometimes it's fascinating. You wouldn't have access to private, bedrooms unless you know the person. We also like the image that these cheap webcams generate. It's like super poor, it's cheap, it's all grainy, and the contrast the colors are all wrong. And we exploit a little bit, again, as I said before, this fact that when you see this kind of image in this period, you somehow spontaneously consider it authentic. Or if it's so shitty, pardon me the word, that has to be true. Like no one would ever make a video that's like so grainy and so horrible, if not on purpose somehow. Again, I don't think it's a rational thinking, but it's just kind of subconscious. Any question about Emily's video?
Is Emily hired, or is Emily someone you know? Did she watch the film? Do you have her response?
She was our assistant in that moment. She was the first to watch the video. We thought she should be. And she was amazing. That's why we called the video after her. It was not we decided that afterwards to call the video after her. And the only one problem that that this thing created, we just realized it too late, unfortunately. And it is that a few of the guys, they misinterpret the whole thing. Because, we are kind of naive, we didn't think about that. But you're online, you read a call that says, there is this girl, her name is Emily. She comes to your apartment showing you Emily's video. So, what would you think? And we did not think about this until one night when she went in an apartment. There was this one guy, and the whole apartment was full of candles, and and the right music. She was like, "Holy crap! I think this guy totally misunderstood." So, but she was amazing. Like she was really strong, and she went through all of these creepy, weird moments.
How do you decide what to edit?
At the end. The edited video is done following the 9 minutes original video. So we just choose reactions that were kind of topical of that moment. So if in a given moment, most of the people react in a similar way. So they're like, or laughing, or almost all in the same moment. So we just cut it out in that way. We're not editors, so this is, we're just basically cut out of webcam videos. It could have been done in a million different ways, and I guess the result would be the same. But if you go online, we just left all the stuff unedited. So there's like all the single videos, and you can make your own version if you want.
So Emily wasn't in the video?
Yeah. You can see her.
No, I think what the question is she actually in the film?
Oh, you mean if Emily's in Emily's video?
Yeah. If she drops off the laptop, she could be a star in the film,
Can't answer that. Yeah, it's like I can't say anything about what was in there.
So you can't say if it was your own work or something you got online?
No, can't say anything.
Franco, did you watch the video?
Yeah, I had to.
Yourself watching it as well?
No, but I watched it, and Eva did not watch it, and that is because we thought once the thing is going to be over, we need some external eye that's going to look at it and have this experience it in the same way that you guys are experiencing it, so not knowing anything. And if you would see the whole thing, you would realize that there's a lot of hints in the video. Because the people, they're not just watching, they're like, oh, what's that? Oh, is that one guy? Oh, no, is that one girl? So they keep talking about it. And noticing even details that I myself have no idea. There's at one point, the two guys, they keep talking about the wedding ring. And they keep talking for 3 minutes about this wedding ring that I don't even know what they're talking about, honestly. I never noticed. I don't think there was a wedding ring. If there was, I didn't notice, or it was not planted there on purpose. But watching it, Eva was like, oh, what's about the wedding ring? I'm like, dude, I don't know. They just got obsessed over the wedding ring. So she had that external, empty, view of it that I did not have. So let's move to something completely different. I have an argument a while ago with a friend of mine. He's a kind of professional painter. He's a good artist, like a known artist in New York. And we were arguing over the internet, of course. He said that the internet is like, yeah, it's funny and whatever, but it's good for cats videos and having a laugh once in a while, but it's just not good for making art. Like, art is about you, discipline, your studio practice and all that, schools and education and so on. And of course I could not but disagree with this. I'm like, dude, come on. There's so much amazing stuff that's being done on the internet. Like now, every given moment, the internet produces so much images and ideas and videos and stuff that, like, in your old life, you could never fulfill that. And he was like, oh, come on, this is just about blah, 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 chatting and so on. And so basically, we could not get to agree. So we made a bet at one point. So we said, okay, you know what we do? Like, we go on a website, and the first image that comes out of it, I'm going to make a work of art out of it. I'm going to show you how it works. And so we decided to go on 4chan. That's this amazing image board, where it's one of the most popular, maybe the most popular image board on the internet, where millions of people anonymously share, produce, retouch images 24 hours a day from all over the world. It's like a crazy bombardment of images. Again, anonymously, for free, by nobody for nobody, or by everybody for everybody, however you want to see it. So we go on 4chan, and the first image that shows up, maybe predictably, is this one. Epic fail, a cat meme, of course, like cats rule the internet, we all know that. So when I saw that, I'm like, geez, I think I lost the bet. Like, what the hell can I make with this thing? It's kind of funny, but not that funny. And, it's cat and meme. So the guy was laughing, like, okay, good luck with that. And we kept thinking about this, Eva and I, what should we do with this? So at one point, we realized that actually there is one artist who's doing a lot of stuff with animals. His name is Maurizio Catalan. He's an Italian artist. I don't know, I guess you guys know him, right? He's a huge artist. Like, his stuff sells for like millions. He's one of maybe the first 10 living artists in the world or something. Anyway, he works a lot with taxidermized animals. So we thought, wait a second, if we decide that thing is not an image, a collage, but we could turn it into a living thing, maybe we could attribute it to him, and we could, prove the idea. And then something amazing happened by total coincidence, really. And that is, we found out the place where he had his taxidermy animals done. So this is exactly the cast of the donkey we just saw. So we said, wait a second, we got everything here. We got the aesthetics, we got the subject, we got the guy who can make it. So we sent the taxidermy guy the image we just saw, the epic fail cat, and after a month, we got this thing on the mail. So this is not a collage, this is not Photoshop. This is an actual cat on an actual cage with an actual bird. They are dead, but they are real. Once we had this thing, we had to we had our Catalan, but it's not, you have to show, to prove it, that people will like fall for it. So it's really well made, it's amazing, it looks totally real. Like, people sometimes they freak out, they think it's real, like, what is the cat doing in the cage? Like, I know they like to be constructed, but that much. So we had to exhibit it, and that's what we did in Houston, Texas. So we put it in a gallery, and we made an agreement with the gallery owner that we would present the work as a Maurizio Catalan work. The story worked perfectly because he had just done a retrospective in Houston, and one of the people working in the gallery, so it was somehow believable. We put it out there, and for a month it's been a Catalan. People would call in, collectors, of course, they wanted to buy it. And again, a work by him goes, 1 million, 2 millions, it's like super crazy expensive. Of course, we agreed with the collector, with the gallery owner, that she would tell all the collectors that the work had already been sold, unfortunately, so it was not for sale. So the temptation was there, but we're not art forgers, we don't want to And so, and then we say, let's see what happens. And what happens is basically the work works. Like no, I expected like after 3 hours of getting like people say, come on, this is like a fun joke and so on. But no, people liked it, they photographed it, they reviewed it with the usual, art world criticism words. So you can see the subtle, typical Catalan subversion, self-ironical stance in a slightly surrealistic way and blah, blah, blah. Like all the weapons of the art world. And that went on for about a month, and after that we claim it. So we just revealed that it was not only was not a Catalan, because that's not much the point, I think, because one could say, okay, it's not a Catalan, but it's yours. You are artist too, so it could be still a good work of art. I mean, no, the point is not that, because not even ours. I mean, that thing comes from the internet. It's just done by some guy on some basement in 30 seconds. He made a collage, he put it up there. So it's really, the context is very important. If you put a thing like this in a right context, in the right space, with the right caption, and it becomes what you want it to become. And we as audience, and again, I'm part of this, totally. We tend to see what we believe. Seeing is believing. I'm mixing up words. Seeing is believing. That's what it goes, right? There is this amazing book by Elor Morris that's out there, and it's called "Believing is Seeing," which is an amazing, I think, phrase. It says it all. Our assumptions, what we think, what we know, makes us see something in a certain way, and we don't even realize that. It's just very spontaneous. Of course, once we revealed that the work was not a Catalan, the price dropped. But, it was not there to be sold in the first place, so it's okay. And one other funny thing that happens is that after we closed it, on the internet, they started circulating images like this one that were like, basically there were other memes based on our sculpture. So, like funny jokes and so on. So basically what's starting as a online digital anonymous collage became an object, extremely expensive and art world, and then went back on the internet again as a kind of a joke. So justice is done. Yeah.
What did Catalan have to say about this? Did you get any statement from him?
No, we did not ask him permission because we usually try not to ask permission. I feel like we should be able to do this, at least in the art world, without lawyers.
But there was no public statement as a reaction to your work?
He was the first one we told the day we revealed it. We thought that was the only one thing we kind of owned it to him. So we sent him an email first before sending it out. And actually, I have to say it was amazing. He just sent a very nice email saying, it was in Italian, so it's hard to translate, but something like, awesome. Yeah, and I really appreciate that, because he's an artist I look up to, and seeing that even when you're that big and that established, you still can be, still take your work not that seriously. I think it's great, because most of the artists, when they get there, maybe it's not you, but you got all these interests around you, huge galleries, auctions and royalties and copyright. So it's difficult to keep that kind of lightness, I think. Yep.
What did you win in the bet with your friend?
Glory. That guy, he's never gonna admit it anyway, because he's the one who's gonna say, but if I saw it, I would have recognized that it was not, because Catalan is different, it's more subtle, and blah, blah, blah. Like, if you think, again, believing is, if you don't believe it in the first place, you're not gonna see it. So what time is, sorry?
What was the name of your friend?
No, let me not get there. I don't wanna, he's a super nice guy. I don't wanna make him look like.
But there are so many victims already. Why not just make one more?
No, it's really. And again, it's not, like, he does good arts. I'm not saying, it's just different perspectives on what art is or what should be. He's more of a guy who spends like 15 years on the same painting, not the same painting, but the same style, like making it better and better and better, which I totally respect. I'm not saying that this is the only way of making art, of course. I'm just saying, but both are licit.
Do you know Michael Jew?
Not the name, doesn't sound.
He does also taxidermy animals.
Okay.
If you had done a lesser artist, would it have been different?
I think so. I think it was important it to be like super established guy, one guy where there's no discussion whether or not he's like, is he good or, you picked up a weird, like Catalan is just there, it's almost canon. He had a retrospective, the Guggenheim, so there's not, that discussion is kind of over. He's whatever, living artist, genius. Whether you disagree, but if you disagree with the whole art world who agree on that. So this thing was also about the art world, so we had to pick someone that for the art world is like as sure as a rock. It's rock solid.
Did anyone review it after it was revealed to be your work?
That's interesting, yeah. Like a couple of guys reviewed it before they went back to see the show under the new light, and they wrote again. One guy, I like what he said. The other guy was again of the bunch of like, I knew it. I was just pretending. It's kind of, I find it kind of childish, but I understand that. I mean, you don't want to.
Are you often conflicted about being on stage?
Like here now? A little bit, yeah. It's a bit weird. Because I don't feel like I kind of deserve it or something. I mean, I like doing these kind of things, but then being here and talking to students, it feels a little bit like you know way more than you do, and you don't, of course.
But you have more videos than they did.
But you also, I don't know, you, of course, I mean, deep down yourself, you hope that this kind of makes some kind of sense, at least some of it, or that someone is going to like it or not. Otherwise, you wouldn't do it. I'm not naive enough to think that I just do it for myself. It's not true. Yep.
Are you willing to show what the Glasnost image is on your desktop?
Oh, that's not an image. This is my folder. Just full of stuff in this. There's all my life in it. Backup videos.
Keep going.
You want to see what's in here?
Well, I'm just curious,
Okay, I don't even know. This is from 2006. Forget about it. Projects. This is our non-realized projects, you see? This is all stuff that we thought and we never did. Like
the Jeff Koons trap.
Where is it? What year is it? 2005. Okay. jeffkoons.com. So this says, have you ever desired being someone else? But from the movie Being John Malkovich. I don't know. And it's, okay, now I remember this. It was about making a fake website that was jeffkoons.com. And then making up a new work by him and getting an invitation and show it in a show. And then, actually, this probably is where the whole cat idea came from. But you see, this has been sitting there for 2005. And we did the work in 2012. So that's how non-creative we are. We're so slow. We may have an idea and then 10 years after you do it. And also because we wait maybe some kind of situation where it gets easier.
So we're going to have to end right there. Thank you so much, Franco.
Thank you so much.